Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated. Our depleted armies continue to replenish, and we are also replenishing our depleted court. I have gone on a bit of an expansion. Considering Cruhure's paranoia, I think it makes sense that we would hire a cupbearer. I've actually just married them out to... So, Gullion, we saw he died from his wounds in the last episode. I have married them out to Cunon, a lowborn knight, I think, that we recruited in the last episode. We really have no idea who our knights are at this moment in time, because there has been such a turnover in the last couple of wars. Here is another knight. He was flirting with us. I think his wife has gotten a job as well, has she? No, she was in line for a couple of positions. Actually, it was either of the two of them for the position of seneschal. We have appointed the Archbishop as High Alamoner. Quadruple B was always the Master of the Hunt, Master of the Horse. Has gone to Roncu. And there is one more position. Killina has been put back in as Antiquarian after he was released. This is Bridget's husband. He has been made the court tutor, and I think that is all of the recent appointments. It's enough. There's plenty of them. There, of course, is our personal champion, who we thought might need to help us with the defense of the Book of Anglo-Saxon Court Politics. And there's our executioner, the little devil. Speaking of devils, His Holiness the Pope has seen fit to excommunicate the King of England. His forces are replenishing as well from that war for Furlix. He's nowhere near putting together the numbers that he had, but we saw absolutely massive damage from his alliance with Sweden. So we're not totally comfortable with the way things are, especially now that he has been excommunicated. Who knows what he will do next? And we are seeing the dynasty that succeeded Brittany, so the Duke of Brittany invaded England, seized England, he was deposed, his son became the King of Brittany, and the Alfricsson dynasty took control of England, and it looks like they are going to return to power on the death of the current king. His health is fine, so we won't see any change for a while, unless he goes on a drinking binge, but yeah, this is causing a bit of problems for us. With so much happening in the last episode, we didn't have time to deal with this. We unlocked chronicle writing, and we are now fascinated with coinage. 14 years, and it will help dev growth to increase faster. And there's also coinage rights for the feudal contracts. Interesting. And we are exposed to communal government. We could get that done in 4 years, but if we go for that, this will take 174. So let's return to being fascinated with coinage, and basically work on getting the development in our counties up by putting our steward into our weakest counties to try and push that development up, while we have a scholar-focused ruler. And just while we're still here on this map, we can see that insular Christianity has not actually died out. Was it our grandfather that converted to Catholicism? Or was it our father? I can't remember now. But it is still hanging around in a number of areas, including up in Ulster. It looks like everyone is a Catholic ruler. But the areas themselves are still insular, even though I don't think that's right, because I know for a fact that Leabhra, son of Leabhra, spelled a different way, is insular. So there's still a couple of insular rulers hanging around, but they're not causing any trouble. They're happy out, and actually we get a +10 from the insular pastoral isolation. So he's happy out having a liege of a slightly different version of Catholicism to him, so we can't complain too much about that. We're going to let the game run on for a while, try and rebuild the coffers, and try and get the army up to some good solid numbers. Due to our paranoia, our poor spymaster is hopping around the place trying to find secrets. We're seeing shadows and plots everywhere, and we have found that Lord Rory, who our father deprived of his duchy, he has taken as his lover the wife of Arthur, the Duke of Munster. Oh, those Welsh. We'll leave him at it. Killenagh has just gotten out of jail. He was released in the last episode. He's gotten it into his head that he knows a thing or two about artifacts, and he wants to take responsibility to ensure the quality of the work being done by our beneficiary to make something. There's a 66% chance that he will improve the quality. We'll lose 10 and we'll gain 5. Killenagh, don't let me down. When I was young, I used to see you visiting my mother quite often. I think you were good friends. Don't let me down, Killenagh. God damn it, Killenagh. As soon as I saw this pop up, I almost had a seizure. I thought it was England, I'm not gonna lie. Our uncle-in-law, if we want to put it that way, our aunt's husband, Gospatrick, he's been a good friend to us. He's been a good friend to the kingdom. And it looks like somebody is attacking to try and take something off of him. Is this a defensive war? No, we're joining as an attacker for him to take the Duchy of Lothian. That would be fantastic. Absolutely. Already, Lothian's forces... Okay, I was going to say they're already heading out to sea. No, they've turned around. This will hopefully be an easy test of our skills and our prowess. Here is William, who is some relative of the family. He's got the actual siege machines at his disposal, so we will send Quadruple B to try and hunt down this army. Something I forgot to mention, it was only when I was looking back over the last episode that I realized at the end at the end of the war, we had 2 prisoners in our dungeons. There was a count who I executed and a grand mayor who I released for no other reason than he was going to give us the most money. I'm very glad that I did release him, because he was pretty much the main commander of all of Sweden's major victories. So I'm glad that we showed him the respect that he deserved as a soldier and a commander. Cahor is wrathful, he is vengeful, but I don't think he's the type that would just go and execute high-ranking military commanders for no reason. Okay, we executed a count for no reason. We have a learning lifestyle perk. I was going to go for learn on the job. We don't have that yet. Different faith opinion. Not massively beneficial. And this is what we're going for. 20% of councillors' primary skills added to your own. I won't say I'm surprised, but I wasn't expecting this. The High Queen is pregnant. Let's see if we can actually click on these. So we're trying to send Quadruple B down with about 7 knights to engage Lothian's forces. William has gone in, like I said, with the siege weaponry. So what we might do is, I don't know if we have anybody that actually knows how to use any siege weaponry. We don't. You don't know how to use anything. Our first battle outside of England or Wales for a very long time. It's good to get back to basics. I was going to say we'll start sieging down someplace, but there's nowhere here to siege down. We'll go in this direction. I've put the High King in command of the siege here. We haven't seen a High King in command of an army in a very long time. Lee was not the most military-minded of figures, even though he was quite high in not necessarily prowess, but in command ability there towards the end of his life. We don't really have the forces to siege down the area that we're in, but sure, we'll leave them there. 'Tis grand. A scheme at court. Somebody is plotting to kill the Archbishop. Yeah, Archbishops haven't been having a great time in this court of recent. And that is awkward. Is it? I'm not too sure. Louis of Aquitaine, the former king of Aquitaine, has been murdered. We're currently trying to sway Quadruple B. He's at 54. Those plots against various people don't look to be in much of a chance of succeeding. If we take a look now at his eldest son, Louis, an unpressed claim to the Kingdom of Leon, the Kingdom of Aquitaine, and a ton of duchies. We could get him to our court. We will begin the process of swaying him. And we will see if we can get him to our court. His father, I know, was serving as a knight, I believe, in the Holy Roman Empire. In a tiny chunk of the Holy Roman Empire, kind of surrounded by France. But he has been murdered by somebody random. Scaly randomer. You can't trust him. Do you know what this makes? This makes a lot more sense. I thought it was maybe going to be a suit. Maybe a pair of boxer shorts. No, it's a cape. He made a cape for us. Of course he did. A large wool tapestry of very fine craftsmanship. A beautiful garden is depicted on the cloth. The grass is green. Flowers grow colourful and luxuriant. And trees laden with fruits seem to reach the sky. Prestige per knight. It's not a great number, but it's something. 0.04 per month. And it gives us another 2 court grandeur. 'Tis grand. That bit that Killina told you to put in, that's an odd looking tree. I think you should have probably left that out. We are bringing up our second eldest son, who is engaged to the daughter of the Duke of Upper Lorraine, I believe. He's fighting with one of the Ivrian, so we could gain stress to make him forgiving, or fickle, or leave him just like his father, wrathful. We were also bringing up our cousin, Sinead, with sufficient tutelage, even a child that has displayed little natural inclination towards scholarship, such as our cousin, Sinead. Yeah, definitely our cousin. She's taken some understanding of it. She's become a mastermind philosopher. Until we meet again, Sinead. So that went up to 18 and then dropped to 17. This reminds me of something. Sinead's mother. Bold, bold, bold. Reclusive, is it? Well, I'll tell you where you can go and be as reclusive as you want. Off to a monastery with you. I'd say they won't know what to make you down at the monastery. She learned Goidelic, fair play to her. Yeah, I'm sure you'll serve God well, yeah. Yeah. We have captured somebody, we've gotten 21 quid. There's not really much of a fear that this army is going to siege down anything, but look at this, the High King going in as commander of the Irish forces. Oh, the glory days when we could just bully anyone we wanted to. 100% war score. We've captured somebody else. We're happy out. They're going to continue. Nope, they're not. Gospatrick has won. So be it. Our father, the poor man, was desperately caught for sons. He had numerous children, I can't remember how many, and only 3 of them were sons, 2 of them quite young by the time he died. We've only had 3 children, and they're all sons. Will we name him after the man himself? There's maybe going to be a bit of a revision of his career, and of course, as pious and as devoted to God as he was, undoubtedly, some people may even begin to worship him or pray to him as a saint. So once upon a time we said no, there's not a hope in hell that Crusader would name any of his children after his father. Maybe that opinion is changing. And of course also the fact that it's highly unlikely that young Amlib will actually inherit anything sizable, any kingdoms or anything like that, so may you grow to be strong and wise. 2 fairly small engagements there. David, we took him prisoner. I've just released him because he's good for nothing. Ishkamur killed the Earl of Dunbar. I think we actually took his granddaughter prisoner as well, and we've released her. And Cóthach, Shannon, one of our knights, one of our new knights. He's not new, he's actually been here for a good while. So we keep walking around the castle and saying, one of our new knights, and he's like, no, I've been here for 20 years. So we just keep missing him. So there was that. That was the first battle, and then this is the battle that David was taken prisoner in. This was the battle that this Earl was killed in. So I think there was 1 killed in the previous battle, and then this guy was killed in this battle, and David was captured. Like I said, fairly low numbers, but yeah, a successful return to war for Ireland after the disasters that we had previously. No idea what's actually gone on over here. I thought Gospatrick was fighting for control of Lothian, but no, he just still has his areas. He is not the Duke. His father would have been the Duke of Lothian. Here is his sister, who controls the duchy. There has been no... We were fighting to install her by faction demand. So she'd been installed, then replaced by this guy, and now we have reinstalled her. Happy out. Look, it makes Gospatrick happy to see his sister back in charge of Lothian. As long as he's happy, we're happy. And now, with that war brought to an end, we can set about redecorating the court with the new tapestry that we've gotten. There's no point putting the new tapestry up next to that one. Looks like there's no point putting it anywhere. We're getting prestige and renown from the Dál Fiatach dynasty banner. It's also a masterwork, and this is also a masterwork. So yeah, it's not looking like we have any place that we would want to put the Irish tapestry. It's also a masterwork. The frog tapestry brings in more prestige per night. It brings in renown, and it brings in more court grandeur. So it looks like the Irish tapestry will just stay. We'll put it there. We'll put it inside in the cabinet, and it'll be grand out. There's some Rulabula. A knight's declaration. Uh-oh. Bad poetry. As I pace towards my throne, I overhear my knight, Cóthach, he's new, proclaiming something to my wife, Emma. That scrumptious woman who charms me so, whose very face seems always to glow. Although, perhaps, she'll break my heart yet, but to fail to try would be a bigger regret. Is he reciting romantic poetry? To my wife? Cóthach, your first day on the job. We could send you to the dungeon. We could say, Emma, get away from him, you strumpet. Or our paranoia will not... Oh, 200 stress for allowing a man to recite poetry to our wife, 14 court grandeur, 75 prestige, and 2 mental breaks by the looks of it. Cóftach, you absolute lech. How dare you? I think our wrathfulness and our paranoia would get the better hand of us. 350 prestige, that is pricey. That's it. Sit down there, you. Don't be listening. Don't be listening to lads like that. He's new. He's only been here a day or two, so he doesn't know the protocols of the court yet. We will do a couple of things with this fool. To prevent ourselves from losing dread, we will get a weak hook on him. So we will negotiate his release. For the last while it's been telling us that we've had no valid court poets. Maybe he just picked up the skill. Maybe he was so in love with our wife that he taught himself poetry. He's been imprisoned. But to show that there's no hard feelings, he will become only the 2nd court poet in Irish history. And will help to restore grandeur and look. It's made him like us a bit more. Since our war in Scotland, the kingdom has been quiet. We are still trying to get those numbers together in the army. They are going up very slowly. Roan Cú, the son of Orthacoin, and the new, Duke of Meath. So Leinster has actually split out now. And the title was created on their father's death. Roan Cú wishes to give us 50 quid with the way the coffers are. We will absolutely accept that. Roan Cú, thanks for the money. All of a sudden, Denmark appears. We've had our spymaster, our trusty spymaster, in our court looking for secrets. They found a couple of lovers. That's really it. I think we will put them on disrupt schemes. We will return them to the court. Not too sure what's gone on up here in Denmark. That's an odd scenario. One that I don't think we would much appreciate, considering they are pretty much just across the way from us, and considering the trouble that we have had with Scandinavian rulers. I think we will begin a process to lay claim to that region. A number of things are after happening. I was distracted by the message that was telling us we could hold a grand feast. I was looking at my stress. That stress is quite high, especially considering we could get 200 stress just for somebody reciting some poetry to our wife. But then again, if we go and hold a grand feast, we'll be left with €1 for the Eurosaver menu. Quadruple B has finished increasing control in someplace. Dublin is still low. Furlix is absolutely falling apart. What the hell? So there you go. There now is, from what I can understand, the Kingdom of Aragon, reaching from the borders of Scotland all the ways to just below Aquitaine and beside Barcelona. If the fool, if the idiot had any sense, he would immediately try to marry this woman or her younger sister, but he doesn't seem to have any sense in his head. If we look at the King of Wales, he is still unmarried. He has 2,000 men at his disposal. He has no alliances. He now has a very strong potential ally on his border, and he has a very angry, and I imagine somewhat weakened figure now that he has lost a good chunk of his kingdom. Our brother will not agree to an alliance with us because he is a claimant to the Irish throne. He does not have the military capacity to take Ireland. However, he does have the capacity to lose Wales. We are wrathful that he will not agree to an alliance. We are paranoid that the fall of his kingdom will lead to further instability in Ireland. We saw Cruhur murder members of the military cadre that were running the kingdom during his father's lifetime. Cruhur would fear a military cadre takeover in Wales. The only thing that he fears more is a rudderless Wales with nobody to rule it. We are left with no option but to push our claim for the Kingdom of Wales. I do think it's a bit silly that we're able to just warp our forces in behind the Welsh lines. I think this would be a much different battle if we had to bring them across from Ireland, especially as we'd have a disembark penalty. But really it's only when you raise them the first time that this is going to be an issue. Quadruple B, we will put you in charge of the army for now. We might get away without calling in any of our allies. And what we might even think about doing, if we do need to bring in allies, is we might see about calling in our uncle in Scotland. They're going to get out to sea before us. There's not much we can do. We might as well take the capital. Take the land that we actually want. We can't go anywhere without losing big numbers. They've probably gotten in just ahead of us into Downpatrick. I don't know what the defences on Downpatrick are actually like. We might be able to stick it out longer. I forgot to check which of these armies has the mangonels. We're lucky that it was indeed the army with the mangonels that has gone in to the capital. So I split them in half to try and stop some of the... stop losing so many forces from wandering around areas, and I think we just lost even more forces. Stephen of Scotland has been taken prisoner, and Louis has not been swayed. And King Stephen is still King Stephen. We are making good headway with these two sieges. The only problem is that once we get the forces back to Ireland, that's going to take time. There's going to be that disembark penalty. I think they just got a big jump in Downpatrick. Our brother Cronon probably knows some secrets from his childhood spent there. The secondary siege has actually all of a sudden sped up ahead of the primary siege, and we are told that we have a lifestyle learning perk. There's not going to be much of a decision. I'm just looking at the numbers in the bottom left. A 7, 3 9s, and a 23. Not too shabby at all. We've actually completed the primary siege first of all. And there we go. And we will send them out as well. They're actually going a slightly different route. We have 41% war score already. We've taken the capital. That war score is going to be ticking up. It would be great if we could lift the siege of Ulster. I'm not too sure if we'll be able to. We do have the numbers, but if we were to go in now, I think we would suffer that disembark penalty. As we might see about waiting for the other forces to come up. They are going to have to lift the siege. They know that there are overwhelming numbers coming in, so that has been a great advantage to us. And probably that there is the decision that has saved the kingdom. Those couple of mangonels. And what is badly hitting them is their decision to wander away. If they kind of kept going across into Scotland, they might have had more luck. Cronon himself is commanding. The fool. Oh wait, no, we trained you. Yeah, we trained you as a military tactician. And then you didn't bother fighting. That's probably another thing that Cruhur is bitter about. Is the fact that he didn't help with Amlib's wars. So when he came of age, he didn't bother joining in our father's wars. 59, it's going to be pricey to send the army back. We could... No, we can't wait. Will we just march them down? Let's go the long way. Let's go and see Aragon. We took a prisoner in that last battle. He is a vassal of Robertuck, the son of Moel Brassel Conon. He's a 12 in terms of prowess. He's shrewd. Guanso. We'll recruit him. Is it just me? Or is there a bit too much adultery in this game? We are suspicious of our wife. She was having poetry read to her there a while back. We'll look into this discreetly. 92% chance that we will discover the truth. 80 paranoia if we don't look into this. 80 stress. So it seems that our fears are unfounded. But she has found out about our suspicions, and she's disappointed. Wait, is she pregnant again? We are sauntering away at our ease. Oh, this was the danger about not getting that stress down. We're sauntering away down at our ease. We're going to lift some sieges. We've been told about a map. Have we gotten just an automatic stress for this? Is that what's after happening? Or what's actually caused us some stress? We have to put this idiot in the dungeons. He is a 24 steward. The level of stewardship that we would have. Absolutely, put him in the dungeons. And yeah, because we're paranoid about somebody handing out maps, especially in the middle of a war, we have gained 80 stress. With his mindset, the first thing I saw was drink, and it was like, yeah, we're going to have to make him an alcoholic. Irritable. -2 diplomacy, -1 martial, +2 prowess, increased stress loss, and dread gain. Because of his wrathfulness, his paranoia, I think this is most likely he's going to unleash his anger onto the court. He already considers his brother to be an incompetent idiot, and that's why we're having to involve ourselves in this scenario. We'd better just actually hold up the troops just short of the region before going in. We should be in a position to lift this siege. We're not gaining war score as quickly as I thought we would. I don't think we've gained any. The armies are somewhat together. Just have to scroll in. And they're heading away off. Patrick, our younger son, who we are training. And of course, potential King of Wales. So, forgiving or fickle. I don't like fickle. We're teaching him to be military minded as far as I know. Well, it's pious and it's virtuous, and we are a high learning holy figure. I think he's going down the he's going down the learning route. Who the hell is going down the military route? Learning +1, yeah, absolutely. Forgiving. We're not forgiving. We're not going to forgive our brother. We have hit his army. We saw Ishkamur there. Stephen has drank himself to death. It's only now that I've seen the name that that popped up there at the top. I think we will go down in... We'll send one of the armies, the one with the mangonels, down in this direction. We'll send the other army inwards. Stephen, the King of Scotland, has drank himself to death. He has been succeeded by who? Who the hell has he been succeeded by? An 8-year-old. There's an 8-year-old King of Scotland, and we have no valid claimants to go. We have Bridget. Now we could have Bridget press her claims. And the other pop-up that we received, our brother-in-law, Anwin, has been killed in battle by Prince Amlib II, son of Amlib, our brother, and the Duke of Kirken, Bridget's former duchy, that she was deposed from, that went to our father, Amlib, and created anarchy and bedlam. So I think he was trained in the martial lifestyle. He was indeed. He's probably turned out to be the best military figure of all of us. So there is our sister, Eugenia. And of course, they both had the albino trait, and all of their children had the albino trait. One brother, I think, has gotten a county, and the other has become the actual duke. Yes, that makes sense. Well, there you go. It's a major family civil war and a mini family civil war, all at the same time. Members of the family killing each other in battle. If only that fool, again, like I said, we view him as an idiot. If only he would surrender. He'll get to keep most of his land. We will probably revoke this duchy. You can see what's after happening to the north of that duchy, can't you? Duke Adric II. Is this who I think it is? The English hero of the last war has inherited part of the Kingdom of Wales and dragged it out of Wales and into England. This is exactly what we were trying to avoid. We have a daughter. We won't name her after our mother. We will go for good Irish names. Muireann. Strong, wise. I have a war to sort out. And the collapse of a kingdom. This is exactly the type of stuff that we were trying to prevent from happening. Cronon was doing nothing to stop this. In the midst of this war that he's heavily losing, he hasn't bothered to form any allies. This just further reinforces the correctness of our decision to go to war with him, even though we've bankrupted ourselves again. Oh no! Sponge on a Stick was destroyed from overuse. That's terrible. So just before they vanish, we'd better go over some of these battles. The Battle of Slemish in the north of Ulster. I don't think we lost anyone. There was no deaths on their side in that battle either. There was a couple of wounds, and indeed this lord died as a result of his internal injuries, which he may have picked up in that battle. Mark Ward, Amlib II, and Duke Arthur will, in the next couple of battles, kill these people. Mayor Morgan, the champion of Ireland, we've seen, the English champion, take part of Wales. Here is the great mayor, badly injured, badly wounded as a result of that massive engagement against England. But this is the guy who commanded Amlib's first and only victory, if I am correct. What was looking to be a turnaround. We took the risk of putting this man in charge of the armies because he had rough terrain expert, and he was fighting down here in the south of Wales. So he's going to die in one of the battles ahead. I'm so confused. I of course forgot that Anwin is fighting against us. I thought Anwin was fighting on our side and Amlib was with our brother. I'm totally confused by what's going on. But it's still a sad thing to see. Members of the family mowing each other down. I think there's been 2 engagements in Wales. So nothing major from this one. It's a relatively low intensity war, so I don't think anybody is going to distinguish themselves too much. And here, of course, is the battle in which 3 Welsh knights were lost in the county. controlled by Moel Brassel Conan's son. So, Markward, killing Moel Tolí, Anwin, slain by our brother Amlib, and Morgan the poor man, like I said, killed by Arthur Mac Lochine of Munster. Arthur has reason to be angry with the Welsh. He's discovered that Rory, who controls one of the counties in this region, has been sleeping with his wife. But still, considering the defence that he made against the English, that massive victory, it's a pity to see him go like this. Ooh, this is a bit of a problem. Reinhold has secured a claim on Carrick, which has come under Danish control. 51 gold, and we will get an unpressed claim. We will see it done. So we are digging ourselves further and further into debt. We would be hoping that the revenues from the Kingdom of Wales will be able to assist in getting us out of that. A ragged, unkempt, tired-looking figure, a wretch of a human, called Vergast 404, has established a bookstall in a marketplace, and he pushes a book towards us, and he insists that we need it for what is to come, a book of prophecies. He believes he can see into the future and predict the outcomes of wars and the lives of kings and kingdoms. I can't read 160 stress. I take what I need, 40 stress. We're going to try and negotiate. 41% chance that we only lose 50 instead of 100. But there's a highly likely chance that we're going to lose the 100 anyway, and an additional 75 prestige. But hopefully, we only lose 50. Nope. We failed to negotiate a better price. But we got a book. It's another Anglo-Saxon book. We've had problems with Anglo-Saxon books in the past. As I am putting away my newly acquired Anglo-Saxon treaties, a slip of parchment falls out. Upon it are instructions for a practice called bibliomancy, where one might divine their fortune from a passage in a book. All I need to do is open this text to a random spot and read the first faithful verse my eyes might fall upon. There is a chapter in As I Was Going Down Saxville Street by Oliver St. John Gogarty. He is the guy who carried out the autopsy on Michael Collins when he was killed in the Irish Civil War. The autopsy, of course, was destroyed before Fianna Fáil came to power in 1932. It's very suspicious. It's very suspicious. A big investigation was called into who killed Collins by the Cumann Gael government, and it was destroyed before Fianna Fáil came to power in 1932. There was a big bonfire and destruction of documentation. Anyway, Gogarty was convinced that De Valera was Satan. And they used to do something like this. He describes it in As I Was Going Down Saxville Street. It's not exactly autobiographical. It's a strange book. It's a very interesting book. It's a kind of a fictionalized autobiography. But what they would do is they would pick a book off the shelf, and they would kind of rifle through the pages. And because they had a group of people there, but they would give to a priest a key, and without looking, he would bring the key down as the pages were being kind of rifled through in front of him, and whatever page the key landed on, and whatever part of the 2 pages it had stopped at, you would read those 2 sentences, and you would divine just how Eamon de Valera was communing with Satan. So that's what we're going doing. I think it's just a crazy story. I like these crazy stories. We're going to do the same. The temptation is overwhelming. I'll have nothing to do with this unholy practice. Because we're zealous, we will lose stress. So yeah, let's look into the future. I followed the instructions to the letter. and select a passage at random from the text before me. Shivering with anticipation, I open my eyes and read. So obviously what's after happening is he's done just what I described. He has gotten a copy of Dune, and he's rifled through the pages, and Reinhold, there he is, he's in the corner, he was given a key, he's after putting the key in the middle of it. And on one side it says, "Fear is the mind killer." And on the other side, "A coward dies 1,000 tiny deaths, yet a valiant man dies but once." What am I to make of this? Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I didn't even see that. Very nice. Fascinating. This requires further research. 99% chance to get 100 lifestyle. Focused reading and 75 prestige. 0% chance not to succeed. And 1% is just given to the sandworms. Or we have... we can form a friendship with Kilina Mac Murcha Kemnoch. Why? Fascinating. We will read all the rest of Frank Herbert's works, but not Brian Herbert's. No. I have finally cracked the mysterious passage from Dune, and feel much wiser for it. Thanks to that merchant, the threads of faith suddenly appear more clearly to me. Fear may well be the mind killer, but I have faced my fear, and allowed it to pass through me and over me, etc., etc. And after all that, we can buy claims to things. Now we can buy claims to things. That would have been handy a couple of minutes ago. We're actually almost up to the next lifestyle perk, so that's, in fairness, that has been a fantastic help. It's going to really help with us mowing through those lifestyle perks. We might be able to siege one area. We've seized a beautiful wooden sword, and we've actually managed, you can see I've the box drawn. I was just about to select this army and set them off in this direction. We don't need to. Not white peace. Enforce demands. Greetings, my liege. Exactly, you get used to saying that. Blessings upon you and our house. You are a much greater brother than I imagined. In order to put an end to the bloodshed, he will give us the nice crown that he was wearing all along. He becomes our vassal. We get a couple of people as vassals, so be it. And there you go. Our father's dream of completing the borders of Wales still hasn't been achieved. We can't revoke the Duchy of Powys from our brother because we have a truce with him. That is something that we will have to do because we have one of the counties and he has the other one. We can't declare war on Scotland because we are in debt by a lot. But thankfully, we can pay our first visit to Pope Sylvester IV and ask him for money. And we can see that Croatia is in a bad way. I had seen this. There is at least one war to... I think that war has ended. No, this is it. So, minus 29 in a war for Lachlan's claim to Croatia. I think Lachlan is a brother of Eilcú, by the looks of it. So they're losing that war. Anya's losing that war. However, they are defending against a holy war for the Duchy of Upper Bosnia. And they are losing another holy war. Was that two holy wars? Two holy wars for the Duchy of Upper Bosnia. I presume they have a couple of counties that are still in that region. So Croatia is in a fairly bad way. The Dál Fiatach are not doing well. On the one hand, it would be great to see Robert Tuck's war succeed and for the Dál Fiatach to remain in Croatia as soon as Anya dies. The Dál Fiatach will lose power there, but yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't look good. His Holiness the Pope has given us money. Thanks for that. Use it wisely, of course. I'm not declaring war on him, I just want to see what we can declare war for. Bridget's claims to the Kingdom of Scotland. So we could indeed install Bridget. We could start another war to install Bridget as the Queen of Scotland, to reinstall her. There is her daughter, Saorla. I remember thinking when we were asked to name Saorla, we basically just said, God help you. We also have a couple of different options. This is one that I noticed a while back. Quadruple B's claims to the Kingdom of Scotland. We, of course, captured him from Scotland, and I didn't realise this, but his mother had a ton of pressed claims. She's of the House of Dunkeld, and those have now been passed on to Quadruple B. So if we had been sensible, but that would be too much, we could have organised a matrilineal marriage to some member of the family, and now pushed his claims. But that's not going to happen. So if we do that, though, if we push Bridget's claims, we're kind of just making trouble for ourselves, because we still have this region. We will probably seize Gari at some stage, because we do want to just complete the circle. And one of our vassals has a claim to the earldom. No, that's just the one county. Like I said, I've said that before. It would make sense to depose this guy and use his claims, push his claims on all the rest of the regions. That same guy in Fife, Edmund, and here is his son, Vertach. But if we check down here in England, we can also push his claims to the Kingdom of England, and that was something I was thinking of doing. But we'd have to try to negotiate Fife back from him. So you do have an option with your Archbishop to come down to your Steward. I know there's an option. I've seen this option. There you go. Convince de jure territory. So we could just go and convince. It would only take us 9 years to convince Adric to give us up the territory. So I was actually thinking of doing that with Edmund at one stage, and installing a more loyal or supportive King of England. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on here. Here's the Queen. She's 17. Here is her heir, her 15-year-old sister. She's in England, and she is heir to things. So, I mean, if we were to see the Queen of Aragon die and her sister come to power, you might eventually see England get ripped up even further. We're not really in a position. I was trying to see if we could actually organise a marriage between this queen and our brother, but of course he's not at our court anymore. He's effectively an independent ruler. He's a vassal, and we can't organise marriages for vassals. But that would have been a powerful alliance, and it's one that would have made us think twice about that war against England, or against Wales, I should say. It would have at least made us bring in allies. I think she's just allied with her sister and with Westmoreland. Look at the helmet, though. Speaking of fancy artifacts, our poet, who we imprisoned earlier in this episode because he was reciting poetry to our wife, he's inspired. he wants to forge a goblet. I really would like to get one made, but the problem is that I think we've filled up the court. I don't think we've any space for any new artifacts. We're also getting to a stage where we're going to need to fix some of the personal artifacts that we have. We got a wooden sword, which increases opinion with children. It's basically the same as the sponge on a stick that we lost during this episode, but it doesn't give you a health penalty. So I think we're going to reject that. And instead, we are going to use the money, the 168. The Pope told us to spend it wisely. We will host a grand feast. The most important thing is that we are no longer overwhelmed by stress by a whole 2 points. Cheery gathering. Look how cheery he is. Welcome, friends. England's not invited. A secret has been exposed. So who is this? Crusader, son of Orthacoin. I was told that I had legal grounds to arrest the mayor of Sligo. So we've obviously figured out who her illegitimate children are the illegitimate children of. Crime cannot go unpunished. Guards. Or accusations are not. We'll lose a level of devotion. I don't think we want to lose a level of devotion. We imprison the mayor. You're fine. You're only an innocent victim in all this, Crusader. We'll imprison the mayor. And lads, would you not just enjoy the party? He's probably drank heavily. And he's after starting an independence faction. He wants to install, I can just about see it, Amlib of Kirkin on the Welsh throne. As the feast is underway, Prince Amlib of Kirkin approaches Emma and me at the great table. This is a marvellous feast. Have you been talking to our brother? Has he been talking to you? Has he been putting ideas into your head? Don't you listen to him. Don't you listen to him. We could either take all the credit, or we will get household effort, which I think is what we want. Direct vassal opinion. Absolutely. Emma deserves all the credit. Don't you be putting ideas into our brother's head. And get a wife for yourself. We have some collateral damage. Of all the things to receive collateral damage. A war was fought over this book. A threat of war was fought over this book. I bait a man across the head with a hammer because of this book. I have barely managed to sit down at my seat when I hear a howl emanating from Prince Amlib II of Kirkin. It would seem he and Earl, quadruple B, have really gotten into it, as Amlib is receiving a proper manhandling. Too late. I realise their martial dance has paved its way straight through the Anglo-Saxon court politics. The duo is presented before me, all the while throwing blame on one another. I see stress, I see stress, I see stress and zealousness. Let God sort them out. That sounds like we're going to execute the two of them. What happens here? They will both, we'll get piety, 50 stress, 40 stress, 40 stress. Look, it doesn't make an ounce of a difference. Really what we've lost there is about 140 quid, because we called this feast to decrease our stress levels. I think it's just made things worse. Get out of my house, all of you. So here we are, we're basically back in Brehon law territory. We've arrested this woman for adultery, and we're going to fine her and just let her back out as we try to slowly recoup the cost of that very distressing feast. I was just about to grant the wooden sword, so it grants opinion with children. So I was just about to grant it to our brother, Prince Cronon, because he's a big baby. And I can see that he is ill. His health is fine, but he is suffering from worsened disease symptoms. It'd be a terrible loss. Oh, Wishamacree, it would be a terrible loss if he was to die. I mean, we would inherit to Hybert. We would get Powys. Can we actually revoke those places now? We can't, because we still have a truce for a while. Not too sure when that's going to run up. But, oh yeah. That'd be terrible. We'll pray for you, Cronon. We'll pray for you. And after all the anarchy that's gone on, Amlib is actually losing... I think he's losing the independence faction up here. He is indeed. So Magnus is trying to break free our poor old mayor has given us 30 quid and left the prison, and we are told that we are finally in a position to gain the scholar perk. 5 learning. That'll bring us up to 33. How could you do that to an Irishman? Hostile, scheme, success chance, dev growth, that's the main one. And we're now in a position to think about what other tree we might want to go down. I don't know if we want to change. I think we're happy out where we are. In the learning lifestyle, I mean, when you look at our skills, why would we want to go anywhere else? Only maybe to benefit from some of the bonuses given to us. So we only get bonuses. Oh, we get a bonus to diplomacy lifestyle from one of the books that we have. And we get an even bigger bonus to the learning lifestyle from another one of the books that we have. We could try and keep him alive. We could try and keep him alive and go down the route of anatomical studies, down as far as whole body. Get him to embrace celibacy. He's 3 children at the moment. I don't know, do I want to go down the theologian path? I know that we get increased piety, I think, from monthly piety per night, 1%. Tyranny gain goes down. Convert faith in county, we're not really too pushed about that. There's a couple of things that we could do about it, but there you go. We have secured the scholar trait. We have secured the Crown of Wales. We have secured some level of stability. We were dealing with an issue there where our brother Cronon, he wasn't forming any alliances. We couldn't form any alliances with him. If England turned towards Wales, we were going to be in a lot of trouble. We have now added our forces and Wales together. We have made ourselves stronger. We can resist England, which is splintering apart. We could very well see about trying to organise an alliance with Aragon and keeping England weak. That might be an idea. I don't think we have anybody that we can immediately marry out at the moment, but we'll have to see what we can do there. And so, as Cahor prepares to start into the next book in the Dune series, we will leave it there for today's episode. We've crossed the anniversary of the 1169 Norman invasions. We'll carry on for a while with Cahor. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope you will join me on the next one, when we see if we can just turn England into a big mess.